Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Fatria Mointi, and from this video I want to explain material Introduction to Literature about poetry, history of literature, phenomenology, and pre-themes. So let's watching this video. Okay, first about poetry. The meaning of poetry, Meeting at Night by Robert Browning, tells about a person's journey across the sea, beach, rice fields to meet his lover. This trip is done at midnight. This can be seen from the long black land and the yellow half moon large and low. He meets his girlfriend on a farm. They happy but frightened because they meet in the middle of the night and quaintly. Okay, and then history of literature. Literary history is divided into several periods. 1. Periods of American literature. Here are some of periods American literature. 1. The colonial period, the era between 1607 until 1775. The period encompasses the founding of Jamestown up to the Revolutionary War. The majority of writings were historical, practical, and religious in nature. Some writers not to miss from this period include Phyllis Wedel and Cotton Mather. And then the Revolutionary Age, the era between 1765 until 1790. This is arguably the richest of period of political writing. Since classical antiquity, important works include the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers, and the poetry of Gilles Berlot and Philippe Freneau. And then the early national period, the era between 1775 until 1828. This era, American literature is responsible for notable first work, such as the first American comedy written for the stage, The Contrast by Royal Taylor, 1787, and the first American novel, The Power of Sympathy by William Hill, 1789. And then the American Renaissance, the era between 1828 until 1865, also known as the Romantic period in America and the age of transcendent talents. In this period is commonly accepted to be the greatest of American literature. My writers include the poetry of Henry Hartsworth, Longfellow, and the short story of Melville. And then the Naturalist period, the era between 1900 until 1914. This relatively short period produced works written by Edith Wharton in his most beloved classic, such as The Custom of the Country, 1913, Eden from 1911, and House of Mirth, 1905. Okay, and then the periods of English literature. 1. Old English, the era between 415 until 1066. In this period discussed about the oral literature developed a written literature in the 7th century. And then Middle English period, the era between 1066 until 1500, the 4.5 centuries between the Norman Conquest, 1066, which effects radical change in the language, life, and culture of England. And then the Augustan Age, the era between 1700 until 1745. In the 18th century and later, however, the term was frequently applied also to the literary period in England from approximately 1700 to 1745. The leading writers of the time, such as Alexander Pope, Jonathan Swift, and Joseph Addison. And then the Georgian period, the era between 1910 until 1930. 1736 is a term applied both of the regions in England of the four successive Georges, 1714 until 1830, and more frequently the region of George, 1913 until 1936. And next, the modern period is frequently applied especially to the literature written since the beginning of the World War I in 1914. And the last, postmodernism, is a name sometimes to the era after World War I, the era between 1914 until 1945. Okay, and the last, about phenomenology and criticisms. Phenomenology and criticisms, the philosophical perspective and method called phenomenology, was founded by German thinker Edmund Husserl, the era between 1859 until 1938. He proposed that consciousness is a deliberate intentional act. He intentionally did not mean that it was intentionally done, but always direct that object, in other words, to be aware of something. And phenomenological criticism is when applied spectacularly to the practice of Geneva's School of Criticism, most of whom studied at the University of Geneva, and their general approach to literature.